but give us just a little bit of a sneak peek. Can you kind of like walk us through the process of designing a map like the village or like the ice wall?
Yeah. So it first starts with, so now that we have all of that stuff, we can now start with basically a concept. And the concept will generally have a theme that we want to hook into. Maybe we want to explore the themes of cunning, right? And when I say explore the themes, the different angles you could take to tell a story about a specific thing, right? As an example, I've done a lot of writing stuff before, like screenwriting, traditional screenwriting. And one technique a lot of writers and storytellers will use for juxtaposition is having a scenario occur in parallel or happen in parallel that is highlighting a different way you could approach something. For example, if you're doing a movie about a relationship and the moral argument here is it's always better to tell the truth than lie, then we could have the main leads, the man and the woman, always lying to each other, and that playing out in a really bad way. And then we have the next door neighbors that are always honest with each other, and that plays out a different way. And we can see the different angles on this, the different takes on this theme from the different perspectives in order to strengthen the one we're putting forward, which is telling the truth is always a better way to go, right? And so, and we also highlight the weakness of the leads. They're not able to be honest with each other, right? And now we have a story to tell. And it's the same thing here. If we can understand the themes here and that brutality and that cunning, how could we do different takes on it with the concept? Maybe we want to focus on the cunning elements for this particular map. Like the ice wall it plays with ice, you can melt it. If someone's already in the water and you freeze it while they're there, it'll freeze them in place. So there's a lot of thinking that you can use. And this is like the map you probably replay the most, or it's one of those maps you replay a lot because there is a lot of ways that you can think about, overcoming a specific encounter or utilizing specific tools in the level. And so once we have that theme, okay, I really want to focus on the cunning and make people feel smart and have a lot of emergence in this map. Then we start to think about the encounters that we want to have in order to influence the players to do those things, right? Because a lot of the time, it's when you do an action, there will be a certain emotion associated with it, right? We can give you the tools, but we can't force you to do the action. So you're not going to feel anything until you do the action. So our job as game designers is to put all these little things in the game, and the easy one that everyone will know is that the exploding barrels are red. Okay, because they're red, you want to shoot them, it's hazardous, right? So that's why it's red. Or the light on top of the door. You'll see 5 doors, one has a light on top of it. That's definitely the one we want you to go through. And so designers will use tricks like this to encourage players to do the thing we want you to do with our mechanics, because we want you to feel a certain emotion that we've already established at a kind of high level, right? The encounters we put in are going to try and get this cunning out of you. So we will put things next to each other that can be combined together in a cool way and use tricks to kind of let you see them in a way when you first look at it, almost like a puzzle, where you see 3 things like MacGyver and think to yourself, if I do this, this, and this, arrow in through the fire into that barrel of hay, I think that might set it on fire and kill those guys over there. Right? And then you go and execute. So the encounters we design now have this idea of combining together to create something of like that feels glory, right? Where you feel the glory. And so we start to build off these encounters. How many of these do we want? It all stems from the execution points. We'll probably use those as the key encounters. Could be 3, 4, maybe 5. And then we have supporting encounters around it that you could then potentially combo off with these execution points. Maybe a barrel that you can push down a hill that hits a guy and knocks him into an execution point, right? And so once we have those encounters, we need to balance it and make sure we want the player to do this. Are they actually doing this? A lot of play testing and seeing where we've gone wrong. And then we start to hone in on those things. Or they're not pushing the barrel down the cliff. Or maybe we need to put some things on the cliff, like maybe like skid marks, right? Or like the grass is indented, like lines, so that when players see it, they, oh, maybe I can push it down, right? We'd use more tricks to kind of encourage pushing things down. And so once that's balanced, then we know, okay, all of the elements are here, not changing anything. Let's go and put the art on it now. And so we will then go through and layer in the first levels of art. We might have placeholders a little bit earlier on, but this is where we will start to touch them up, add in the VFX and all the bells and whistles.